Historically, U.S. conflicts take years. World War I took over a year, and the Korean War stretched past 3. But look at the modern era. Vietnam lasted 19 years. Iraq dragged on for 9. These became grinding, multi-year quagmires. Contrast those decades of fighting with the recent timeline against Iran. The entire military operation lasted exactly 32 days. In just over a month, a major global adversary and the world's leading state sponsor of terror had its military completely eviscerated. This 32-day timeline represents a departure from the historical baseline. In 1 month, the military achieved strategic objectives that previously required years of sustained combat. This rapid conclusion followed 47 years of direct hostilities. For half a century, the Iranian regime built a massive network of proxy terrorism. Their proxies carried out the murder of 241 Americans in the 1983 Beirut barracks bombing, slaughtered U.S. service members with roadside bombs, and orchestrated the October 7th atrocities in Israel. Behind this terror network, the regime spent decades working toward a singular goal: securing a nuclear weapon to act as an untouchable shield against retaliation. Diplomatic attempts failed to stop them. The Obama-era nuclear deal, which included a $1.7 billion cash transfer, did not halt their ballistic missile development or pacify their ambitions. They continued building a colossal arsenal. 50 years of containment and appeasement allowed a conventional threat to escalate into a nuclear one. Neutralizing that danger required a complete change in strategy. When diplomacy hit a wall, the U.S. shifted to preemptive elimination. In June, the military launched Operation Midnight Hammer. Heavy B-2 bombers completely obliterated the regime's key nuclear sites. The strikes were precise, but they did not stop the program entirely. The regime immediately sought to rebuild its nuclear facilities at hidden locations. At the same time, they rapidly mass-produced conventional ballistic missiles, weapons capable of reaching the European continent and the American homeland. Their refusal to abandon the nuclear pursuit forced an escalation. The United States abandoned surgical strikes and launched Operation Epic Fury, a campaign designed to achieve total systemic annihilation. Within the first weeks of the operation, the Iranian Navy was destroyed. Their air force was left in ruins, and their anti-aircraft radar systems were 100% annihilated, leaving the airspace entirely uncontested. Without defensive radar, the focus shifted to the command structure. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, the regime's primary paramilitary force, was systematically decimated. The U.S. eliminated their terrorist leadership. While official regime change was not the stated objective, the targeted deaths of the original radical leaders effectively achieved it. This hyper-fast military execution came with a grave human cost. 13 American service members lost their lives during the campaign. During this same window, the U.S. carried out a separate lightning operation in the Western Hemisphere. The president described a minutes-long operation to secure Venezuela, which immediately transitioned into a joint venture to manage the world's largest oil reserves. By coordinating multi-front, hyper-accelerated warfare, the U.S. dismantled a massive Middle Eastern threat while securing the energy assets necessary to fund its global position. This graph highlights the domestic economic fallout. These rapid geopolitical moves resulted in zero inflation, $18 trillion in new global investments, and a stock market that hit 53 all-time record highs in a single year. This economic spike is directly tied to a new energy reality. By combining the massive Venezuelan assets with aggressive domestic drilling policies, U.S. energy production skyrocketed. Look at the global production levels. The United States now produces more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. These swift military actions engineered a domestic economy entirely insulated from global energy shocks and immune to foreign extortion. Because of this massive domestic supply, the United States now imports almost zero oil through the Strait of Hormuz. This geographic independence triggers a massive policy shift. Since the U.S. no longer relies on that critical Middle Eastern passage, it is abandoning its historical role of policing and protecting the strait for other nations. This leaves dependent allied nations with a stark ultimatum. They can either buy abundant oil directly from the United States, or they can deploy their own military forces to protect the shipping lanes they rely on. The former regional power, Iran, has been incapacitated. Their military infrastructure is broken, leaving them physically unable to threaten these passages or project power against the West. The 32-day war removed a long-standing nuclear threat, while effectively decoupling U.S. energy security from the stability of the Middle East. With its own reserves secured, the United States is now positioned to step back from the regional policing roles that defined the last century.